house. This is the SEN Podcast. Welcome in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the SEN Podcast. On today's topic, what are we discussing today here, Nova?
We're discussing relationships, family, partners, and friends.
Yes, alrighty. Alright, Nova, what is a relationship?
Well, the the dictionary definition of relationship is the way in which two or more people or things are connected, or the state of being connected.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Alrighty, so everyone, we'll dive into the different types of the relationships, and then we'll kind of discuss a bit of topics relating to that specific relationship. And the first relationship we're talking about will be partners, because it's a thing where everyone can relate to in their lifetime. Rightio, what is our first relationship
Our
here, Nova?
first relationship is platonic. Platonic can actually relate to all three: family, partners, and friends. But
Yeah.
some of the things that make a relationship platonic is closeness, fondness, understanding, respect, care, support, honesty, and acceptance.
Yeah, that's
So,
exactly right.
Yeah.
So regarding platonic guys, usually it's kind of like it's more of a relationship where where the connecting individuals are honest and more open to each other. They respect each other more. So the relationship doesn't, there's no good or bad. It's just the standard, relationship. Hence why it's called platonic.
Yeah. So a platonic relationship is marked by the absence of romance or sex. That's according to the dictionary, of course.
Yeah.
Let me get my notes up. Yeah, so a platonic relationship is anything that you have with your friends. It can have intimacy in it, like hugging, hand holding, and that. But it's mainly what you have with close friends. And
Yeah.
our next one, which platonic is the lack of romance, our next one is romantic relationships. Now, what are some of the things in a romantic relationship?
Yep. Romantic relationship will be intimacy and commitment. Things like expressing love and passion for each other. Romantic relationships basically will just be two. We'll talk about open relationships afterwards as well. So romantic relationships are an intimate sort of connection between two people. You could also call it lovers rather than romantic relationships, or you could also relate that to crushing on someone as well.
Yeah.
Having that sort of intimate relationship with them.
I'm sure everyone, except select few people, have experienced romantic feelings for someone in their life, right? Like,
Oh yeah, I'm sure everyone will.
everyone except the select few
Yeah.
people. There's a thing called aromantic, actually. Do you know what aromantic is?
No, I don't actually.
So, I'm asexual. So, I don't experience sexual attraction towards people. So,
Oh right, yeah.
yeah, so aromantic is someone who can't experience or experiences very little romantic feelings towards other people.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
And moving on to our next partner relationships. We've got a codependent. So what is codependent here, Nova?
Well, codependent is the reliance on another person. Yeah. It's like characterized by excessive emotional psychological reliance on a partner, typically one who requires support on account on an illness or addiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
So,
someone who really needs to rely on someone else either for emotional, psychological, physical support.
yeah.
Some of the signs of codependency is a tendency to do more than your share all the time, fear of losing relationships and abandonment, an overwhelming need to be reassured and recognized, compelling desire to control others, fear of rejection, a tendency to apologize to keep the peace, problem with creating and keeping boundaries, difficulty making decisions, dishonesty, doing things you don't want to do to make others happy, and poor communication in relationships.
Yeah. So this could be seen a lot actually. Even in a romantic relationship, you can rely on the other person as well. Um, and all that. But the main one we're discussing is pretty much like uh, relating to codependent. Pretty much means like you want to rely on that specific person. As Neva's mentioned, it could be like psychological or anything, just pretty much anything. Just relying on the other person. Like say for example, you could be struggling specifically at this time. Maybe it could be relating to work or something, and you want that person to rely on, so you can get through it. Stuff like that.
Yeah, my experience with codependency is like the person can't live without that other person there. So, for example, there's people who can't go without being in a relationship. We all know someone like that. They can't spend their time single. That's like a sign of codependency.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is casual. Steven, you got some experience in this.
Oh yeah, casual. That's that. Yeah, it. Casual kind of dwelled on, I guess, the Western countries.
Yeah.
Quite recently. It's still lasting up until now as well. Who knows how long it'll go for? So casual, meaning like you got the standard hookup culture, the one night stands, you got the booty calls, you could call it, and like friends with benefits, stuff like that. So it's completely
Yeah.
it's completely different. It's kind of like being in a relationship with someone without, kind of like a romantic relationship without the intimacy and commitment. So you're still doing you could still be doing the going on dates and stuff, but then after the date or after the hookup, you pretty much just separate. It's kind of like no strings attached.
Yeah. Now, I don't really have any experience in casual because it's not really my style. But, like, what's it been like for you?
Personally, for me, I've had quite a few multiple uh, casuals in the past, of course. I guess it was when I was younger,
Yeah,
of
younger.
course, roughly around 18. Um, I think I spent like maybe like 2 to 3 years just, kind of seeking casual, because I didn't really have the commitment for a single individual, and I didn't know what I was looking for as well, of course, while being young. But the experience for me is like it's not too bad, if as long as you're both on the same page. So you gotta you gotta still have the communication there with the other person as well, that you guys are
Hmm.
specifically just looking for casual, just so that the other person doesn't fall for you or whatever, or you don't start falling for them. And there are boundaries with that as well, so you got to keep it casual. And yeah, but you'd still message each other kind of like friends, hence why it's also called friends with benefits as well.
Yeah.
So you do the casual dates and stuff, but by the end of it, you know you kind of sweep each other away, and of course it could consist for a while as well. It could last multiple years even. Of course, with the casual hookup culture, you have a lot of people that just tend to have kind of like a roster, you could say, where you meet this person this week and then you meet this other person the other week also, and it goes on. It's mainly just for, I guess you could say, sexual pleasure, but other than that, no strings attached, no one gets hurt, and you're all good, unless of course one of you catches feelings, then
Oh,
the
dude.
person catching feelings will get hurt.
Yeah. Oh, wait, so what's your
Yeah.
thoughts on like dating apps then? Like
My
Tinder,
thoughts?
Hinge. Yeah.
Well, personally, if you are on there, you're pretty much kind of looking for casual, honestly. You don't really tend to meet a lot of people that are looking for a relationship, but you do meet the people that are actually looking for relationships on there too, because, with technology and stuff, it's much easier to meet strangers online because you both have the mindset of looking for someone already, rather than you going out in, like, say, the clubs or a bar or in public to kind of talk to people, because you don't know why they're there. You could go to a bar and meet up with a girl or a guy, um, or any of the other binary or non-binary people. You start talking to them, and they may not have the same intention as you. So they could just be there with friends, having fun or so. But if you're on a dating app, you're both, you're either there for casual hookup or you're there for a relationship. So you've got the mindset there already. Hence why communication is there to, really communicate with the other person to see what exactly you're looking for. But personally, with casual hookups though, there hasn't been that many that I've personally had, on from dating apps and stuff. It's always sort of been friends of friends, but that's just
Mm,
from my experience. It could be different for other people as well.
yeah. Dating apps definitely makes it easier because you definitely know someone's intent on the app. Like they'll tell you like, oh, I want casual, I want relationship.
Yeah, exactly that. It's just easier. And it's also easier to do because it's in, the comfort of your own home.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe I should give casual a try.
Yeah, who knows? You might, if you're not looking for anything serious right now, casual might be the way to go. But it is a little bit weird as well because, communicating through messages and communicating in person is completely different.
Oh, it is. It's so
Yeah,
different.
yeah. So who knows? You might, like, for example, you might be compatible when you're messaging each other, but in person, who knows? That other person might give you a lot of what a lot of girls say these days. They might give you the ick. So
Yeah, that happened to me actually. The last date I went on, like on text messages, like we were hitting it up, like it was going really well. And then we meet in person, and I thought the date went fine, but she ended up blocking me afterwards. It kind of hurt.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, it's really different. Honestly,
Honestly.
if you're on a dating app and you kind of kick off, best to meet in person to see if you're compatible, rather than catching more feelings for each other online for a longer period of time, and then finally meeting up, like, say 2-3 months later on, and seeing that that person isn't exactly the kind of person you're looking for. So yeah. All right, Nova, what is the next
The next
relation?
one is open relationships. Now, I don't think either of us have experience in open relationships, but we can try and talk about it.
Yeah, no, not at all. None.
I'm hopeless romantic, okay? So if I love one person, I'm loving one person. Yeah.
Yeah, using your time and energy on one person is a lot better than multiple.
I
Yeah,
don't think I even have the energy to have multiple partners.
yeah, it's like, oh, I don't even have the energy for myself. How am I supposed to have energy for some other people?
Okay, so open relationship is usually more than one partner, but how would you like really explain an open relationship? It's like where two people who consent to having more than one partner, I guess.
Um, I'll give my definition on an
Yeah.
open relationship. So what I think an open relationship is that there are two people that are committed to each other, but they still tend to enjoy the casual hookup culture. So, for example, a married couple could be married for quite a while, say like 5, 10 years, and they may have, they may have the standard disputes with each other. They may argue and stuff, but they may get to a certain point in their relationship where they know that they're suited for each other, but maybe not in one or more specific way. Say they may lack a bit of mental here or physically here. So then they kind of discuss it with each other to open the relationship where they can sort of explore other things as well. But yeah, that's my take on what an open relationship is. But I don't think it's that healthy, honestly. But some people can make it work. I've read multiple Reddit stories where people have made it work.
Yeah, like I have seen success stories, I've seen relationships fall apart because of it.
Hmm.
Like, anecdotally, so in my own view, like from my own life, I've seen success and failure from open relationships. One thing from open relationships that I've seen is it mostly comes from people who got married really young, so they never had a lot of partners
Yeah.
growing up. So if we're using body count, the body count's probably one or two. So they haven't experienced like other people. So that's why they want to try open relationships. Like, oh, what if, you know, another one is like their partner can't do things to them in an intimate way that they need. Like, let's just say your partner's meat isn't the size that satisfies you.
Yeah.
Or they can't give you the big O, you know?
Yeah, there's that as well. There's also, things like I've heard a lot of stories where some guys could have erectile dysfunction, stuff like that, and the girl wants that physical intimacy and they're not receiving it. So then they're, looking for something else, and they have that open discussion
Yeah.
to open the relationship. But it does go quite negatively when it's a situation like that. Say, for example, I've read a Reddit story where the girl and the guy, they've been together for a while. The girl kind of, wanted to go and explore. The guy was really upset, and, he wasn't open about the relationship like that as she was. Or however, for, for her happiness, they both agreed to open the relationship. And then the girl's, gone off to do whatever she does with other men or women, and then the guy, he thought to himself, why not? Like, it is what it is, and he's gone out, and she starts seeing that he's happier, in that open relationship, with another person, and then she kind of comes back and says, oh, I don't want to open the relationship anymore. And then it's like but you're the one that wanted it in the first place. So why are you,
Oh,
why are
I've
you
seen
taking
that.
it back now? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so then, that's when things start falling apart as well. There's more examples and stuff. But that's one of the reasons. But a successful one, it could be like, they've been together for a while, and they're both agreed and they're both perfectly fine about an open relationship. And at the end of the day, they still come back together as like a couple. But they're more than happy with the other person going out and trying new things or looking for something else, but then they always come back. That's one of the successful ones that I've seen.
Yeah. So according to research from Very Well Mind, it states that up to 21 to 22% of adults will be involved in some type of open relationship in their life. That's a high number. Like, that's a high number.
Yeah, that is a pretty big number if you ask me.
Like, I didn't think it would be like that much.
Yeah,
Like,
no, like
maybe
it's like
5%, maybe 5%, but 21 to 22%.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising.
Okay, so our next one is toxic relationships.
Yes.
Boy.
Here we go.
So what are some of the things in a toxic relationship that we should look out?
Rightio. Some things. So in this case, we could say some signs and stuff.
Yeah.
In a toxic relationship, would be things like gaslighting and controlling someone. And it gets really bad when it's like physical abuse. Well, mentally as well. There's things like misunderstanding each other. Your feelings may be dismissed. You may have to do things to you may have to sacrifice things just for your partner or the other party's happiness. And yeah, what are some signs that we should be looking for in a toxic relationship, Nova?
So first one is unhappiness. Like, you need to really judge your happiness in a relationship. So you can be unhappy in a healthy relationship, but toxic relationships usually make you unhappy. Lack of respect and continuous conflict is another one. So watch out for your partner if they're like disrespecting you often, or often trying to create conflict. Going into that, competitiveness and jealousy, like, those two things can lead to conflict and really trying to bring your partner down. And financial and social control, that's a big one. Like, if, let's say, I'll just use a girl as a boyfriend who controls her finances, says what she can spend it on, and who she can hang out with. Like, that's like no good. Like, it can go either way though. Like, any partner can be controlling.
Yeah.
And last one is concerns and personal issues are dismissed. So they basically gaslight you. They say things like, "Oh, your problems aren't a big deal. Oh, you're crazy for having this concern." Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much toxic relationship, it's basically a relationship, where your emotional, physical, psychological well-being is kind of like swept under the rug.
Yeah.
And even as Nova's mentioned, like, even healthy relationships can be toxic as well. Every other relationship can be toxic. Hence why you've got to talk to each other, let each other know about your concerns and stuff. But if the other person is dismissing your concerns and stuff, that's how you know you're in a toxic relationship. Obviously, it depends on the context as well. It's to a certain extent as well. You could, in your relationship, you could have boundaries with each other for a, like, mutual respect. Say, for example, I could say to my partner that I don't want her being around guys or having guy friends. That's a boundary that I've set, and she can set her boundaries as well. So it goes multiple ways, but those are signs that you should look for.
Yeah. So, any relationship can be toxic with your family, partner, or friends. So, you really need to look out for the signs we have listed, and there are more. But with the signs we're listed, like, look out. Do you feel unhappy when you're around this person? Do you feel a lack of respect? And do you go through conflict? Do they often push your boundaries, or do they try and control you? Do they get jealous often? Do they dismiss you? Do they make your emotions seem invalid, your feelings invalid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, radio. Next
I love this
one.
I love this one. Situationships. So what's the biggest question asked when you're in a situationship?
Yeah, alright, yeah. So the biggest question that people tend to ask in a situationship, you've been together for a while. None of you guys have popped the question about dating or being in a close relationship with each other yet. And you've kind of hit the railroad at the end where you're like, we've been together for a while. I think we're compatible and stuff like that. And then it's either you or the other person that's gonna ask this question, and they're gonna ask, "What are we?"
Yeah.
So what are we? And that's when it's like, it kind of it starts to escalate from there. It goes both ways. You could continue the relationship, or you could kind of like back down, or the other person could back down as well.
Yeah. Man, don't you hate it when your casual relationships lead to what are we?
Yeah, it happens a lot. I would say usually it turns into an actual relationship from my personal experience. So my last two relationships, pretty much were kind of like casual. Obviously we had feelings for each other and stuff. No one's popped the question yet. And eventually, my previous partners, they've asked, so what are we? And that's when we kind of start to communicate and discuss on what we actually are. But they've turned into like actual relationships. But situationships is when you don't have that.
Yeah, there's no established relationship.
Yeah.
Like, it can be like intimate at times. Like, you can hang out, you could even live together. I've seen like situationships where the people are living together, but it's just not established.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like friends with benefits with extra steps, pretty much.
Yeah, with like the minor strings. You've got some strings attached, but they're not attached all the way, Yeah, it's kind of like you're not thinking about a future together. You're not escalating it further. And it's also not exclusive to the point where you're not mentioning that you're seeing other people, or the other party's not mentioned that either. So you could be seeing other people also. Hence why they usually pop that question, what are we? Because they exclusively want the relationship to be to escalate the relationship.
Yeah, unlike I've been in such relationships that have led to relationships. Like,
Yeah.
Like, you just hang out with like a girl and that, and like it's chill. Like, oh hey, let's hang out, and then you start like hugging and that, and then like you eventually kiss because you had a bit to drink, and then you just hang out and you're like, oh yeah, this person's cool, and it can lead to relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can lead the other way as well. I've had both experiences, you could say. There's been a time when I thought that, like we've been hanging out for a while. I liked this girl personally, and then I kind of popped that question. Well, I didn't really pop the question, what are we? But like, I wanted to escalate the relationship because I genuinely liked this girl. But obviously, she didn't feel the same. Hence why I fully backed out of it. Because it wasn't.
That's good.
She's looking for something different to what I was. So it's healthier to just back out of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So let's go down and let's talk about how to keep your relationships healthy. What are some of the key things to helping keep a relationship healthy?
Yep, there's many, but we'll list some. Of course, there's many more than what we're listing. So you guys can feel free to, leave comments below on anything we've missed, and stuff. But some keys that we're looking for in a healthy relationship, to keep it healthy, is showing appreciation and gratitude. It could be a gesture like maybe giving them flowers, to show your appreciation, or even verbally, showing your appreciation and gratitude to them. So you may just say, "Oh, thank you for doing this for me," or "I appreciate you doing this," and stuff like that. Another key is communicating openly and honestly.
That's a
Say
big
if
one.
there's, yeah, it is a big one. So if there's something you don't like, or something that kind of offends you, or you think that it will jeopardize the relationship, just be open and honest, with the other partner, with the other party, and you guys can then discuss things from there. Obviously, if it's a toxic relationship, it's gonna get swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Other
So another one is being affectionate and showing that you care.
Yeah.
So, what is affection? I'm gonna look up the definition though.
That's a good point.
Okay. So, affection is a feeling of liking and caring for someone or something. Oh yeah. That's good. So, being affectionate and showing that you care. So, showing that you actually care about their feelings and emotions. Like, just showing the love. You know?
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
one is mutual. Oh, sorry. Go.
Oh yeah. It could be, it could be physically showing it, or it could be verbally, telling them as well.
Okay, so the next one is mutual respect. Now, I don't know about other people's relationships, but I think a good 50-50 is a great way to go. Like, would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that. To a certain extent, of course. I'll pretty much explain my reasons why. Obviously, you're two people, so things that you do will be, well, you'll try to split it 50-50 as much as you can. Say, for example, the husband could be working all day, and he would want to come home to like cook food or something like that, because he's doing his work already, and she's doing her work already. But there are times when it's not 50-50 as well. Say for example, um, your wife is sick, so you've got to go to work, of course, or you've got to wake up and cook breakfast for her, and after work, you've also got to cook dinner and take care of her as well. So there are times when a relationship isn't 50-50 as well. When the other person's down, you got to lift them up, and then when you're down, that other person's got to lift you up as well. But obviously, 50-50 is generally the mutual respect there.
Yeah. So for me, mutual respect is like you you know that you have emotions and feelings, and you know that person has emotions and feelings.
Mhm.
So that mutual respect is like you both understand that, and you're both willing to listen to the other person, and if someone says they're tired, then you respect that, and if you say you're tired, they will respect that.
Yeah.
So the next one is actively listening. So being an active listener is very important. My mum basically taught me this. It's better to listen more than to talk. So if your partner's trying to express something to you, like trying to communicate with you, you actively listen to what they have to say. Yeah, how would we explain active listening?
I guess active listening, it is a key in communicating as well. So it's a type of communication, because just because you're communicating, it doesn't mean that you're listening as well. So if
Yes,
if you're
definitely.
listening intently to whatever issues or feelings that the other person's conveying to you, then you can properly address the situation.
Yeah, active listening is the practice of preparing to listen, observing what verbal and non-verbal messages are being sent, and then providing appropriate feedback for the sake of showing attentiveness to the message being presented. Active listening is listening on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one we have is showing interest in each other. Oh boy.
Yep. So showing interest in each other, it could be minor things or greater detailed things as well, such as, say your partner's interested in this hobby. You could also show your interest in that as well, to kind of support what they're doing,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Even if you aren't interested in that hobby, like just being supportive and showing some interest, like, oh hey, so what are you doing on Lead today? Like, what champion are you playing? Like, I
Yeah.
don't care about Lead, but I still ask Steven, like, hey Steven, like, what champions are you playing right now? How's your rank games going?
Yeah, or like like what's the meta like and stuff like that. Like who's
Yeah,
good to
what's the
play
meta?
with.
What builds you make?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah. So the next one is being supportive and encouraging. This is an important one. Like, this can lead back to everything we talked about so far.
Yeah.
So what's the next one, Stephen?
Yep. So we've also got feeling empathetic for each other. So obviously you have to try. You pretty much have to try your best to kind of sit in that other person's shoes to see what they're feeling as well, because obviously with that situation or whatever situation it is, you may feel very different to what they're feeling regarding it.
Yeah. So empathy is. So yeah, what is empathy? Empathy is described as a wide range of experiences. It's the ability to sense other people's emotions, coupled with the ability to imagine what someone else might be thinking or feeling.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. So it's about, like in a relationship, feeling empathy for someone else is like really good. It's a way. So if your partner's sad, it's you trying to understand why they're sad and being able to experience how they're feeling. It's being in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
Like for me, like a lot of my relationships was like based on empathy for each other. Like, oh, we were both bullied in high school or something like that. Yeah, like you can really come together with someone through empathy.
Yeah, it kind of like just builds like a connection, a different sort of connection.
Oh, this is an important one. The next one is
Yeah.
spending time together. Why don't you go off on this one, Stephen?
Yeah, it's very important, because if you're not spending time together, how would you know how the other person feels? or what they're interested in, or what they do. Um, because if you're not spending time with them, you won't know what they're like, because people change. Like
Mm.
one day they may enjoy, say they may enjoy a specific hobby that they're doing. They may enjoy tennis or basketball or so, and another day they may enjoy something else. So if you're spending time with them, you'll sort of pick up on the habit of what they enjoy doing, um, and stuff like that. Or not even that, you could be, together watching a movie, going on dates, um, playing games together. So
Mm.
it's just spending time together, doing things together. Even if it's things that you're not exactly interested in, doing things together kind of just builds a stronger relationship um,
I,
together.
I mean, like, I personally like art galleries, but it's like going to like the art gallery with your partner, or the farmers markets, or like you can do stuff with your partner even if it's not really your thing, and like maybe you'll actually enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. Because there are things that you can do by yourself, but there are things that it's more enjoyable if you're doing it with another person.
So, like, long distance relationships, like, how would you spend time with someone if you were in a long distance relationship?
Yeah, I've had experience in this personally. Um, Long distance relationship, it is harder to, because time frames are different. So then you've got different working hours to each other. So the main thing that you can really do is spend as much time online together as possible,
Mm.
so that when you next meet them in person, that connection's a lot stronger. So you wouldn't be too shy or embarrassed to be open and honest with this person, which is one of the strong keys in a healthy relationship.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so next one is having healthy boundaries. I think this one's really important because
Mhm.
boundaries is like what you establish for respect. It's like what you need for a healthy and honest relationship with communication. Yeah. So
Yep.
boundaries for me have always been important, at least for myself. There have
hmm
been times where my boundaries have been broken, so it's important to find a partner who will like actively listen to you and show respect for your boundaries.
Yep. And as previously as well, my current relationship, we've established those boundaries, because we've had altercations in the past. So establishing healthy boundaries is a good key point in a healthy relationship.
So, Stephen, what are some healthy boundaries you have noticed or you have?
Yep. So there are many. I'll say the main one that I have is, like obviously as a straight male, I would prefer my partner to not be hanging around with guys, obviously. But that is to a certain extent as well. If they're guys that are close friends with me, and if it's for like something minor, like say you've got to drop something off or something, that's perfectly fine with me. But if it's like spending time with them one on one, then obviously that's like what the hell, like it doesn't make any sense to be doing things like that. So think that sort of boundary kind of sets back to like things like how or why are they doing this, because there's really no point in doing that, because it's something that will in the long term jeopardize the relationship.
Yeah.
But it goes both ways as well. Even though I've set that boundary, I've also applied that boundary to myself as well, because of, out of respect. Because if I don't want her hanging out with guys, then I myself shouldn't be hanging out with girls as well.
Yeah. One of my healthy boundaries is like asking for space, because like I like to like be alone sometimes to think or to do things, and
Yeah.
having a partner who can respect that boundary of giving you space, like I don't want to be around someone 24/7, so
Oh
I
yeah.
don't. Yeah, like sometimes I just want to chill on my computer or play games. Like I don't want to be watching a movie with you or yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Because, you know, at the end of the day, we're human beings too. You know, we like to do our own things sometimes. Um, but of course, you've got to like keep in mind that you gotta put your relationship, um, you know, at thinking point as well, where, oh, maybe I should be spending time with her, and then there are times when, you know, you establish with her that I may need some certain time for myself to do things that I enjoy as well. Even like going to the gym and stuff, or you know, doing your own little hobbies without your
Yeah,
partner being there and stuff like that.
yeah. Another important boundary is like sexual boundaries. Like you need to communicate. Like, okay, I want only these certain things to happen sexually in
Hmm.
the relationship. Like that's important to me because as an asexual, even though I am sexually neutral. Okay, so
Hmm.
sexually neutral in simple terms basically means I'm indifferent to sex. Like I'm not sex positive where I'm actively seeking sex, or sex crap, what's the word? I'll just use sex negative. Or sex negative where I'm actually repulsed by sex. Okay, sexually repulsed.
Yeah,
Like I can have these sexual relationships, but I'm not actively seeking it.
yeah,
So it's healthy. A healthy boundary for me would be communicating with my partner. Okay, I only want this intimacy during these times, or when I consent to it.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Steven. So what's the next one?
Alrighty, this is a big one. Being trustworthy.
Oh, you got any
So,
stories about this?
um, there are many, but I won't dive too into it because I think it may be a bit too personal and stuff. But you know, being trustworthy, you gotta trust your partner as well. Say, for example, I'll just give a minor story of mine. Obviously, I like to hang out with my friends and stuff, of course. And a few of my friends, they enjoy going clubbing, drinking, and stuff like that. And yeah, obviously, you know, I'll discuss that with my partner. Um, and if she agrees, then that's perfectly fine. And then you know I'll go and have fun with the boys also. But obviously, being trustworthy when I'm out there, obviously, I'm there specifically just to have fun and hang out with the boys. There have been times when I have been approached by girls, of course, and I don't, you know, I let them know that it's, you know, I'm just here for the boys. Like, sure, I can talk to you, but other than that, I'm here with the boys specifically. Like, I'm not looking for anything.
Hmm. Yeah, being trustworthy is like really important to me. Like trust is so important in a relationship. If you're having like a partner that like lies to you or is dishonest, like it's really disheartening to go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and the last one is learning love languages. So what does this mean, Stephen?
Yep. So this is something that I've only just recently started learning about, and I never really like I've heard of it before, but I've never like dived into detail on what it actually is. So at first I just thought, oh, love language, like what even is that? Like, because I thought personally that love language is just like, oh, I should be the man of the house, you know, like, you know, give and provide and protect, stuff like that. Until, of course, I've had the altercation with my partner, and we've sort of, you know, kind of split for a moment. And that's when I started learning love languages, and I was like, oh, okay. So this is what she meant by, you know, she likes gifts also.
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it depends as well because everyone's different. My love language is like physical touch and like spending time together, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I'll list what the love languages are. Um, we've got a few.
There's 5
Um,
love languages.
yeah, 5 love languages, and it's everyone's really different. You won't just specifically have one. You'll have like a few, put together or a bit of a mix. So we've got words of affirmation. We've got quality time. We've got physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. So those are the type of love languages there are. So if you guys are curious, feel free to have a look online as well. It dives deep into like what they all are, but we'll give a little bit of a brief explanation
Yeah.
on
I
what
got it.
each one is.
I got this. Okay, so first one I'm gonna cover is words of affirmation.
Yep.
So how do you do words of affirmation? It's encouragement, affirming, appreciating, and listening actively. So actions you can take is sending someone a note, a text message, or saying things like "I love you" or giving them compliments. And some things to avoid is not recognizing or appreciating effort.
Yeah. So it kind of routes back to showing appreciation and gratitude. So that's something that they want. So for example, they may have had a long day at work or something, and you could say, "Oh well, you've done a great job at work. Like thank you for doing, being the provider, or thank you for going to work, because I know it's even though you've woken up on the wrong side of the bed, you've still struggled to go through with it, stuff like that."
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is physical touch. Or yeah, physical touch. This is one you like. So how to communicate physical touch is non-verbal use of body language and touch to show love. So actions you can take is hugs, kisses, cuddling, and so on. And things to avoid is physical neglect or abuse.
Yeah.
Like physical neglect is basically, oh, okay, so you did this, so I'm not gonna hug you anymore. I'm not gonna kiss you anymore. Of course, there's you need consent to those things.
Yeah.
But if your partner like punishes you by taking away physical touch, that's like something you should actively avoid, because it can make your partner feel like unworthy and so on.
Yeah, and it'll make them feel unappreciated
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, next one is receiving gifts. I'm not really big on receiving gifts. What about you?
No, me neither. I'm not a gifts person. I've always just grew up going like, oh yeah, if someone gives me a gift, that's like, yeah, I'm grateful for it. But even if you don't, like, just your presence being there is good
Yeah,
enough for me.
same. I feel a little uncomfortable receiving gifts. Like,
Yeah.
like, I appreciate it. I appreciate the thought, and I will be thankful for anything I receive. But like, receiving gifts can just feel awkward sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, that's the biggest point there. It does feel a little bit awkward receiving gifts.
Okay, so how do you communicate receiving gifts? Thoughtfulness, make your spouse a priority. Actions you can take, give thoughtful gifts and gestures, express gratitude when receiving gifts. And things to avoid are unenthusiastic gift receiving, forgetting special occasions. Okay.
Guys, that's one thing, guys. Don't forget your anniversary. Don't forget Valentine's. Don't forget their birthdays. Stuff like that.
Oh jeez. Forgetting your birthday's the worst. Oh, you get chewed out. Oh gosh. Yeah, so even if you don't like the gift, like try and receive it enthusiastically. Like, oh, thank you very much for the gift. Like, I got a book I received from someone. I haven't even touched it, but when I received it, like, I was thankful at the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not my type of book at all, but
yeah, but just appreciating it is good. But one thing I can say on receiving gifts is that personally, I have communicated that I don't like receiving gifts. But obviously, when they do give me gifts, or when she does give me gifts, it's fine as well. But I prefer not to receive gifts. I
Yeah.
have communicated that as well.
Yeah, like you need to speak to your partner about your love language, like what are things you like in love language, what are things you not really fond of.
Yeah.
It's very important. Okay, so the next one is quality time. How do you communicate quality time? Uninterrupted and focused conversations, and one-on-one time is important. Actions to take: create special moments, take walks, and do things with your partner. And things to avoid: distractions when spending time together, long time without one-on-one time. Oh boy, I love my quality time. What about you,
Oh
Steve?
yeah, yeah, I do. It's one of my things, quality time, or I say spending time together. Because for me personally, quality time. A lot of people these days would prefer you not to have your technology with you. But I personally think that it's fine for me. I've communicated that as well, and it's fine for my partner. So you can spend quality time together by you both maybe laying in bed together. Uh, I may not enjoy whatever she's watching, and she may not enjoy whatever I'm watching. So we're still there together in the same spot, but we're enjoying things that we do separately, but we're still together.
Yeah, like it could even just be sitting with each other, like reading books together. Like just the spending time together makes you like feel warm inside.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final one is acts of service. So that's let them know you are wanting to help to lighten their load. And actions you
Hmm.
can take: make them breakfast or dinner, go out of your way to help them with chores, and things to avoid is lacking follow through on small and large tasks.
Yeah.
So acts of service is basically like, they're doing a assignment, so you can help them a little, or they need to load the dishwasher, so you can help wash the dishes with them. It can be
Yeah.
small or large. Yeah.
Yeah, so things like you could be a little bit busy, and you could ask them to run a small errand for you. Um, they could do a bit of vacuuming or so. It's just something to kind of lift off the all of the, or not all of the responsibilities, but some responsibilities off your shoulders. Kind of like just to lighten the load, so that you feel a bit better. So that's pretty much acts of service.
Yeah. So the most important thing of all this is communication. So you need to communicate your love language with people, and for everything else, like, you know, yeah, it's just communication. What's the popular saying, Stephen?
Yeah, a very popular saying for healthy relationships is communication is key. You may hear this from a psychologist and stuff as well, or therapy, or whoever you guys are seeing. Um, yeah, communication is key. Obviously, like with everything we've discussed, to keep a relationship healthy, communication is part of pretty much all of it.
Yeah. So communicate with your family, communicate with your friends, communicate with your partner. And I can tell you right now, things will work out. Like, it can be scary sometimes to communicate like your feelings and your emotions or other things. But I can tell you right now, uh, I say about 90% of the time it'll go well for you. If it's
Yeah.
a toxic relationship, then get out. But you can communicate with people. Like, people, if they love you, will understand what you're trying to communicate and will work towards more healthy relationships and healthy boundaries.
Yeah. Obviously, though, communication, you do have to be specific on how you communicate as well, because obviously if you're saying one thing but you mean another thing, then that person is obviously not gonna understand what you mean. So you gotta be very clear on how you communicate with them. If they don't understand, take a different approach as well, because you know they might just misunderstand what you're trying to convey to them.
Yeah. And like it goes back to everything we talked about, like being trustworthy, being supportive, mutual respect, like even love languages. Like if you communicate, like things will work out for you if you're able to communicate like all these things we covered.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoy. Our next episode is on addiction.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, we have it through life.
Yeah, we've all gone there before, guys. Come on.
All right. This has been SEN Podcast, and thank you for watching.
Goodbye, everyone.
Leave a comment, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.